Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Siege War for Cybertron Deluxe Class Autobot Ratchet. As always, we'll take a quick look at the packaging and then we'll take a detailed look at Ratchet himself. Starting off with the packaging, as you can see, we've got a really awesome image of Siege Ratchet on Cybertron, showcasing all of the weapons that the figure actually comes with. On the back of the packaging, we have some product shots of the figure in robot mode, his medical bay mode, as well as in his truck mode. The side of the packaging has that same traditional Transformers Siege artwork with Optimus Prime, other Autobots, and the Ark leaving Cybertron. And here we have the Transformers Siege Autobot Ratchet out of his packaging, and the figure is absolutely tremendous. Those of you who stay tuned with all of my reviews will know that I absolutely loved the Transformers Siege War for Cybertron Ironhide, and this figure is a heavy reuse of that figure's mold, as well as some of the transformation cues. This figure is really well done, and he actually has more new parts than initially suspected. The figure also includes a plethora of accessories. Just quickly taking a look, as you can see, we've got some kind of blaster here. We've got this crane section, which actually plays a more vital role in the medical bay, and considering Ratchet is a medical officer, he does come with a kind of surgical spanner of sorts, so this definitely looks really nice, and all of the weapons have been in fact picked out in a really nice silver paint deco. This figure has been given a really nice paint deco overall. It is the more white and red traditional Ratchet colour scheme, then of course the more garishly red colour that Ironhide was when he was originally released. Now this review will be more of a comparison and contrast between this figure and the deluxe Ironhide from Siege. However, I will show you one of the brand new attributes of the figure that is 100% new, and that is the fantastic Generation 1-esque Siege Ratchet head sculpt. I think that this has been executed and replicated incredibly well in plastic form. It really does look very cool. If I had any criticisms to say about it, is the fact that I wish they had given Ratchet some kind of facial expression, perhaps a more angry looking face. Definitely would have complemented the figure a lot better. As it stands, he has been given a very neutral, very vanilla like face, which doesn't look too bad. However, I definitely would have liked a more angrier, more expressive expression on Ratchet's face. Another criticism I have is that I wish that where this black paint deco had been applied, it was in fact red, as I think it would have complemented the rest of the figure a lot better. But nevertheless, the colouring that it is does look fairly nice. Unlike Ironhide, he has been given a translucent, almost purplish blue type of colour for the window section of the front of his torso, and this looks really nice and is definitely an improvement that this figure has over the Ironhide figure. Bringing in the Siege Ironhide, comparing it to Ratchet, as you can see there are obvious mold similarities with these figures. However, if you do look ever so closely, you will notice that this figure actually has a lot more new parts and that are completely different from this original version. Some of the most noticeable ones are in fact the shoulders. As you can see, Ratchet has been given a completely brand new shoulder design, which I definitely think looks really awesome. Another brand new element is that the forearms are actually completely brand new sculpts, which is something that Hasbro didn't have to include, but I'm so glad that they did, as it definitely does help you to separate these figures from one another. Even the forearm sections here are completely different. And when you turn down to the legs, you may initially think that they are in fact the same, but however they are completely different sculpts, and you can tell this by the fact that this has kind of two indentations, whereas Ironhide has a long streak that goes along the bottom. So it is essentially a brand new figure, just with very similar aesthetics. You know, Ratchet and Ironhide did share very similar models in the original 80s cartoon, and that has definitely been replicated here in action figure form. I really like the paint deco on this Siege Ratchet though. I think the red paint apps have come out exceptionally well. There are no paint bleeds whatsoever, and we do have the traditional iconic looking Siege weathered effect, which I think actually looks pretty nice on Ratchet. As you can see, it is this kind of dark wash that goes along the foot as well as on the base of the shin, much like you would expect it to be when they're trampling around the torn streets of Cybertron. Some of the mold issues that this figure fixed when compared to this one is that these panels do not pop off during transformation. They are on exceptionally securely, which is fantastic, and the tabs actually do snap into place. They don't just sit there, they will clip into place, unlike Ironhide, who's just kind of rest there. As you can see, every time I push it in, it would kind of shoot back out, and these are extremely easily to remove. So it is great to see Hasbro taking constructive criticism on board and giving us a really good figure in this Siege Ratchet. So taking Ironhide out of the equation first, this figure is really phenomenal. I'm so happy with this Ratchet figure. It's great to finally have a Generation 1 Ratchet in the Generations toy line. I really like these weapons. Of course, all of these weapons are in fact removable. This section here literally just comes off, and the spanner, and I guess what you could call Ratchet's blaster, also comes off. However, we'll get to those more in just a bit. And another thing that they seem to have fixed is the fact that the tolerances on this figure are a lot better. As you can see, there is no loose joints on this Ratchet, which is so great to see. Whereas on Ironhide, he did unfortunately have very loose joints, as you can see, shaking him around. He really wasn't able to hold a pose very well. So it is definitely great to see Hasbro improving their tolerances on their figures. Now, turning to the transformation of Ratchet, it is almost identical to that of Siege Ironhide's. Now, first of all, I'm actually going to be transforming Ratchet into his medical repair base alt mode that is shown on the packaging here. The reasoning why I'm going to go from this mode is the fact that it actually shows the conversion going like this on the back of the box, and the instructions also go from robot mode to medical bay mode and then to truck mode. And honestly, medical bay mode is not necessarily the best mode in the world, so if you wish to skip over it, I do literally just recommend you check out the timestamps that will be included down in the description box below. But nevertheless, let's get Ratchet into his medical bay alternate form. So of course, much like Ironhide, you need to kind of collapse the head and fold this section over, bring this section down, and then the arms you're just going to want to kind of bring up just like so. I wouldn't recommend tabbing them in, as they're actually going to have a very different positioning when we eventually get into Ratchet's medical bay alt form. We're then going to want to compress the legs together just like so, and then rotate this whole section all the way around just like that. Now, I recommend lifting this up just to allow for clearance, but what you're going to want to do is bring this out, rotate this around just like so, repeat the same process on the opposite side, and now you're just going to want to rotate the forearms just like that, collapse this visor down, snap this section into place, and believe it or not, there you actually have Ratchet in his medical bay alternate form. As you can see, it's very lazy. I really don't have a clue why Hasbro decided to include this mode in the instruction manual, as it literally just looks like the vehicle mistransformed. It is really ridiculous. Of course, you can take all of the accessories that we saw earlier on. I tend to plug the spanner section into this more larger apparatus and then peg it into the sides of the arms, much like the packaging shows, and this kind of just dangles down. And then take the blaster weapon and snap that into place just like so. And there you kind of have Ratchet's Siege alternate form when he is a medical repair system. I guess for kids this is a fun and interesting gimmick, but for adult collectors this really isn't a very strong third or second mode. And just taking Ironhide, I guess you could just rest him into the repair bay. And I guess if you take some photos, it doesn't look too bad. It kind of does look like Ironhide is perhaps resting on a medical bay, but honestly, this is just literally a throwaway mode. Now, transforming Ratchet from his medical bay alternate form into his vehicle mode is really simplistic. All you essentially want to do now is just lift this section up and open these pieces here in the shins. If you've got Siege Ironhide, it is exactly the same transformation. So just bring all of these sections in together. There is one thing that I have noticed with this figure that lacks from Ironhide, and it is the fact that there is no tabs on the inside of Ratchet's legs that plug into these slots. That was definitely something that really solidified Ironhide's alt form. Unfortunately, this is missing from this figure, so I don't think the transformation is as stable as it really could be, but nevertheless, it does hold together reasonably well. Just slide that under and snap it into place. And as I said, it is great to see the improvements to these pieces. I haven't had them pop off on me once. So just snap them into place just like so. And there we have Transformers Siege Autobot Ratchet in his ambulance vehicle alt form. And it definitely looks really nice. In vehicle mode, all the paint apps really shine. You can definitely make out that this is supposed to be the kind of ambulance siren. I love the Autobot insignia, and once again I really am a massive fan of the transparent blue type of plastic that they've used for the window section. This front grille is completely brand new. I will bring out Ironhide for a comparison very soon, but as you can see, I really like the design of this. It definitely does evoke a very alien Cybertronian type of vehicle, so it's great to see that Hasbro are continuing with this War for Cybertron Siege toy line and just bringing Ironhide into the mix. As you can see the similarities and differences, and they are more or less exactly the same upon first glance. They have completely remolded this front bumper section. It is a lot different than Ironhide's, which is awesome to see. And then obviously turning them around, You can see that they do look very similar, however all of the panels on Ratchet are completely different to Ironhide. So this figure is more the case that it shares the kind of transformation and just some elements from this figure, as opposed to a direct repaint with a brand new head sculpt. So overall for vehicle mode, I think that it looks really, really well done. Now very quickly turning to weapon storage, as you can see this piece here, if you keep it exactly like this, how it was in the medical bay mode, you just want to collapse this piece here, and then either one of these tabs here, or both of them, can be in fact inserted into the arms of Ratchet, just like so. However, don't apply too much pressure, otherwise everything will begin to pop out. And then the small blaster can plug into any of the tabs. I tend to just snap it into this one. And there you have Ratchet fully decked out with all of his accessories in vehicle mode. So overall for Transformers Siege War for Cybertron Deluxe Class Ratchet, I highly recommend him, especially if you're collecting the core Autobot team. This is a fantastic figure to have in your collection. I am, however, slightly biased, as I loved the original Deluxe Class Ironhide, and as I stated, whilst this figure does consist of mostly new elements, it does definitely share the similarities in the engineering, and some pieces do look very, very similar. So that was definitely a massive draw for me, as I really liked Ironhide. I knew I was going to love this Ratchet figure, as I love the new paint deco, and the head sculpt is fantastic, and I also am a really big fan of some of the new accessories that this figure comes with. The only major downside of this release is its availability. This figure is not available in the UK, unlike some of the other Siege figures. I don't believe any online retailer has in fact picked this up as an exclusive. So as it stands for UK fans, your best bet is to buy from overseas. Places such as Asia definitely seem to be getting stock of this figure. Other countries such as the US, I do believe that this is a Walgreens exclusive. However, I'm not massively familiar with the US market, so I can't say that for sure. But I do know this figure will not be available like some of the other Siege figures, and that it is in fact an exclusive. So I do definitely say, definitely try and get him while you can. He has been out now for I believe a month, and there really hasn't been a massive stock take of him as of yet. So I do think this is going to be one of the more rarer Siege figures. However, a month in Transformers terms isn't really enough time, so we could see this figure perhaps getting a more mass release in the upcoming months. But as it stands, I definitely recommend, if you see it, definitely pick him up. He's a great inclusion into the Siege collection, and if you are a Generation 1 fan and you want an updated, more G1 looking Ratchet, then this is definitely the figure to get. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please let me know down in the comment section below, and until my next review, I'll see you there. Thanks for watching.